Hi, guys. This is the Florida man here. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have our GEC, our Commander in Chief, Donnie Kennedy, Jason Boshears, and Ronnie Kennedy in the background. Uh, let's give them a warm welcome and see what they have to inform us what's going on. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir, and thank you for filling in for Harrison, our deputy chief of heritage promotion got carried away and had to go take care of some business with a couple of camps in Mississippi, and he called on the best man in the Florida Confederation to help us, and he wasn't available, so Sean said he'd fill in for us. Thank you. I appreciate it. And we have our past Commander-in-Chief, Jason Boshears. Jason, thank you for showing up with us. And our past Chief of Heritage Operation, Ron Kennedy, with us also. So we've got a little bit to discuss tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about first, we're just going to go over a few things that's upcoming in the upcoming events. And then we're going to get into a little more detail about what needs to be done and what must be done to correctly defend our ancestors' heritage, our ancestors' honor, our heritage, and to vindicate the cause of the South. The first thing I want to do is, Commander Boshears, if you don't mind, this is upcoming Lee Jackson events will be going on. And I know the three of us have some Lee Jackson events. If you'll start off, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about where you will be speaking in, I believe in January, for Lee Jackson events. Just give us a little rundown, please, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. I have a light load this year. I'm only doing 2 Lee Jacksons this year. I'm doing one in Murfreesboro. We're meeting at the Sam Davis home. They want me to do the capture, trial, and execution of Sam Davis there. Then I will be down with Don Green down in Beauvoir. The third Saturday, I believe it is January 18th. I'll be down speaking with them. So, tell me about what you're doing, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Commander in Chief.
Let's let Ron, because he's still, although he doesn't wear the neck ribbon, we still we push him very hard. I don't want him to get kind of rusty, so he's got a few things we got him doing. So, Ron, where will you be in the next couple of weeks?
Saturday, I'll be at a Christmas program right over in Alabama, right across the Mississippi line. It's probably about an hour from here. Bruce Pate is the camp commander, and I'm having an old man's problem. I can't now remember the name of his camp. Bruce, please forgive me. I didn't even write it down. But that's what's going on to this week, Saturday. Then January the 4th, I'll be with Roy Hudson with the Captain J.J. Dickinson camp. You have that. There you go. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a nice trip over to Florida. I think Donald spoke. Was it last year you spoke to him, Donald?
I believe so. It was last year, yeah.
And, I guess they didn't get an overdose of Kennedy, so they wanted another one. So I'll be there. Thank you. And then on the 18th of January, I'll be at Lee Miller's camp up in Memphis, Tennessee. I say Lee Miller's camp. He's the only person I know personally at the camp, and that's not the name of the camp, and I know he doesn't own it. But anyway, that's he managed to convince those folks to let a Kennedy come talk to them up there in Memphis, and I'm looking forward to that drive up Interstate 55. This is something that Donald and I will be doing with the Abbeville Institute in February, the 20th to the 22nd. We'll be talking on a whole group of folks in a seminar for Abbeville. I just think it's important that the SCV work closely with the Abbeville Institute, and I was very proud that they invited Donald and I to speak, as well as several other really scholars. And I don't think either Donald or I would be noted as being a scholar, but nonetheless, they've got some real scholars there, and we'll be there in February. And then come March, I've got a talk on March the 20th at Hammond, Louisiana, to the SCV unit over there. And we'll talk about the 29th of March later. But that's all I've got going on.
Well, that's enough. That's enough. My schedule. I just got back from South Carolina, speaking there. And Shane, do you have that picture of the South Carolina crew? I believe. There we go. I had a great event in Conway, South Carolina, and you'll see Perry Smith, the commander of the South Carolina Division, Randy Burbage, he's the councilman for EMV, and of course our Lieutenant Commander in Chief, Tony Griffin, and myself, and of course the EMV councilman, Jamie Graham. And this gentleman here is Jamie's chief of staff, and his name is Mike Pullen. When he introduced himself to me, I had to take a second look, because I have a good friend in my hometown of Point, Louisiana, named Mike Pullen. So anyway, we had a great time. It was a good event of people. It was very excited. We've got several new 21st Century Confederate Heroes members there. And also, Jason, I'm not going to spoil it, but we've got come to GEC, Commander Graham will be bringing a wonderful presentation for the museum. I got a privilege of holding it, and I was just honored to be there. So that was last weekend. I'm back in town now, and on the 19th, I'll be in Texarkana, Texas at the Red Diamond camp. I'm not speaking there, but I will be there. And of course, once Kennedy gets there, we do get to talk a little bit. And I'll be a wonderful group of Confederates. I'm going to tell you, those Texas
Red Diamond's a good group.
But Red Diamond has been very, very active in that area, and I really appreciate them. Come the 2nd, now this is my interesting story. Come the 2nd of January. Now I've got to recover. I got to recover from the celebration of New Year's, and then on the 2nd, I got to drive over to Shreveport, Louisiana, to be with the camp over there for their meeting. And then on the 3rd, I'm driving to Mendenhall, Mississippi. Mendenhall, that's in Simpson County. And Mendenhall, it holds a special place for Ron and myself, because that's where our maternal grandparents were from, Mendenhall, Mississippi, and quite a few of our Confederate ancestors are buried there in Simpson County. I'll be speaking there, and then the next day driving to Brandon, Mississippi, and speaking with the folks at Brandon. Now, before I forget, and I noticed neither Ron or Jason mentioned this, so I'm going to chastise both of them. Now, listen, folks, use your Lee Jackson banquet to the best you can do is to get information to the general public who we are. One of the things you can do is invite some of your elected officials. Let's just say in Simpson County, for example. Why don't we invite the sheriff of Simpson County? Why don't we invite one or two of the, we call them police jurymen, Ron, what we call them in Mississippi?
Board of Supervisors.
Board of Supervisors in Mississippi. Invite the mayor or councilman or school board member. Invite them, send them a nice letter with your stationery, with your SCV logo on it. Be sure you can put the QR code for if walls could talk video on that letter. Send them a letter and politely invite them. Be our honored guest at our meeting. We're having Jason Brochures, the past commander and chief of the Sons of Confederate, speaking on a certain topic. Listen, they may never show up, but they will hear about the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and they'll know that the Sons of Confederate Veterans are active locally. And some of them will show up. And even if they don't show up, next year, get another group and invite them. But it won't cost you anything but a postage stamp unless they show up. If they show up, well, your camp is going to pay don't ask them to come and make them pay for their meal. They're your honored guests. You're making inroads in the community. This is one of the ways we can do it. We overlook these simple ways of influencing people. Ron, do you have any suggestion on that?
Well, I just want to say, if they don't show up this year, go ahead and invite them again next year. Don't let them forget you. You just keep repeating it over and over, and I wouldn't stop. I'd go all the way down to the dog catcher if he's a potentially friendly or she a potentially friendly elected official. They need to know. And remember, one of the things we go over in our Confederate Legion training, we'll talk about a little bit more later, is how your email is a force multiplier. So, man, we get together with 20, 30 people, have a great meal, a great speaker, unless one of the Kennedys. But anyway, if Jason Brochure says you're going to have a great speaker, a great meal, a lot of camaraderie among the 20, 30, 40, 50 people there. But that's a drop in the bucket as far as the total population in your county or your parish. So that's what is so important to send these. And Donald said, do a letter. Yeah, do a letter. But if you can't do that, do the email to them. I'd rather for you to do a letter because it looks more formal. You know, it's a lot more formal. Doing political work, we know that politicians respond far quicker to a written letter by an individual with their name signed on it than and it can be a typed letter, because if I wrote a letter, they wouldn't be able to read it. It looks like hieroglyphics. But anyway, a written posted letter is much better than an email. An email is much better than a phone call left on the answering machine.
Yeah.
All three of them is better than not doing anything at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the whole idea, folks. We can do this, and it's, as Ron called it, a force multiplier. It takes an event and puts it out in front of a lot of people. And you will get people at the courthouse and at the mayor's office and around the judge. And another thing, invite the judges. These judges that are ruling against us, they need to know SCV is out there. And you can be very polite. All we're doing is inviting them to come to hear what our past commander-in-chief or Dr. So-and-so, who is one of our speakers, they need to know we are active. We just lost a case in Missouri that we're going to have to probably appeal. But just think what would happen if years ago, that judge had been getting invites to a local SCV camp meeting. If he'd been hearing on the radio our SCV Pro-South ads, if he had been reading our Dixie Defenders that people have been giving out at gun shows and festivals and community activity, these things have an impression. Don't wait until the horse is out of the stable and then run down there and complain about the door not being shut. You need to prep these politicians, and especially these judges and elected officials. Let them know we are there, we are active, and there's a danger to you if you start making us mad. Okay, let's just put it like that. Okay, enough said about that. Also, following up after Brandon, Mississippi, on the 11th of January, I'll be speaking at David O. Dodd, the young martyr of the Confederacy in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'll be speaking at his graveside there in Little Rock. And then on the 16th, I'll be in Greensboro, North Carolina, speaking to the camp there. And then on the 18th, I'll be in West Monroe, Louisiana. Actually, Monroe, Louisiana. The West Monroe camp is hosting the Lee Jackson banquet, and I will be there. And then, Sean, you got something from Ocala? I will be in Ocala, Florida, speaking there. Terry Beasley was nice enough to get a hold of me, and after I twisted his arm a little bit, he said he'd invite me. So thank you for the camp there in Ocala. I will be there on the 25th. On the 26th, I will be in, guess where? Just down the road there in Jacksonville, speaking there, that camp out. Really, really looking forward to that. So that pretty well carries me, and I'm not going to go any further in that, but that pretty well carries me into through January. So that lets you know your commander-in-chief, your past commander-in-chief, and your past heritage defense guy. We all are busy. And one other thing I want to remind people, this is Christmas season. You may have a friend or a family member that he kind of likes to quote Civil War, and he'll talk history every now and then. You may know somebody in your community, your church, your Kiwanis Club, your Lions Club, and they kind of are interested in the Southern history. And listen, especially after this election, people are looking at us a little bit differently in a better light. Well, those people don't know a lot about the SCV. Instead of buying them a bottle of cologne or another tie or pair of socks, buy them a subscription to the Confederate Veteran Magazine. Very simple. If you've got children there, go online, especially at the our bookstore at headquarters. There are books there that are suitable for children. Listen, children need to learn the truth early on. They need to be exposed to this. And a lot of these little books are very handy in bringing them around and introducing them to the correct view of the South. All right, so much for that, folks. Remember, it's Christmas time. You want to buy some books. I understand Ron Kennedy may even have a book that he'd be willing to sign for you. If you can chase him down, he's just got his out on reconstruction. So there are plenty of good pro-South books out there. There's plenty of good literature. By all means, don't forget what you get. Oh, yeah, I be doggone. And we even put pictures in there so people from Tennessee would buy it. Hey, Ron, what's the name of Jason's favorite governor in Tennessee?
Oh, it's Brownlow. He loves him, man.
That's somewhat of an inside story, but if ever there was a reprobate Methodist preacher turned politician, it was Brownlow. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Oh, he was predestined to be a reprobate.
Well, I can't argue that point. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's look at some upcoming. We're sitting here chatting. It's already 17 minutes after the hour. We just have too much fun. I'm sorry, folks. All right, some upcoming events. Now, the museum, as y'all know, the museum, we usually have it open at least one Saturday every month, okay? We're open from 9 to 5. Now, the deal is, once we get this bank debt paid off, once this 21st century Confederate heroes has come to fruition and we have that taken care of, one of the things we're going to start doing is looking at increasing our ability to keep that museum open at least every other Saturday. We need to work it till we have every Saturday and then Sunday after church, especially during the high season of tourist travel and things of that nature. And listen, folks, if we get this debt paid for, we've got money that we can do our robust public relations advertising. We're going to have introduce that museum and the Sons of Confederate Veterans to millions of people who have never heard of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. But we got to get that done first. Okay, that was January the 25th. We will be open. That's a Saturday, January the 25th from 9 to 2. All right. Let's see. On February the 8th at Elm Springs, the Metcalf Officers Call. We'll have that, and the museum will be open from 9 to 2 there. That's February the 8th. The Metcalf Officers Call. On March the 8th, we're going to have a GEC meeting. The museum will be open from 9 to 2 that day. So the General Executive Council folks, we're working for you. So if you want to come and sit in on any of these meetings, the only thing, if we have to go into executive session, executive session is when we're usually dealing with things that are highly sensitive and it is held close to our chest and no one is supposed to know about it, but that is very seldom. Usually disciplinary procedures or maybe budgetary items that we don't want the general, our enemies to know about. But I would say, what would you say, Jason? 80 to 90% of the meeting is open to our membership. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And so, and we are limited in space because you know we have the meeting there in the library of the museum. So you know, unfortunately, we can't have 10,000 people show up and want to sit down. Jason wouldn't have anywhere to sit then, so we can't have that. You know. So, but anyway, but all I'm saying is the museum will be open by all means. Your general executive council members will be there. And we take breaks. Look, y'all look at me. I'm old. I can't sit there for 3 or 4 hours without getting up and going to the bathroom. So we're gonna take breaks so you'll have a chance to cubby hole your councilman or your army commander or the chief of staff or somebody that you need to talk to. You can cubby hole myself or Tony Griffin, our lieutenant commander in chief. So there'll be times you can talk to the various members, and even if you need to address the GEC, get it to us, and we'll see if we can have room to put you on there. Now we have business that we have to take care of first. That's something that we have to do, but we will, and that's March the 8th. That's on a Saturday. Ron, tell us about what's going to happen on March the 29th there at Elm Springs.
Okay, we're going to do another Confederate Legion training session, and we had a very successful meeting in Beauvoir. I was going to get Moose to talk a little bit about it, but he couldn't make it. But nonetheless, it was a very successful meeting. What we're doing is trying to train people how to use the various tools that we have available, why they're important and why it's important to use it. And and the cost is just enough to cover the lunch. $15 is going to be the cost. I'm going to wait till after Christmas before we get this information out on the Telegraph. We'll try to get it in the March-April issue of the Confederate Veteran as well. So Donald, we got to remember to get that to Frank in time for the March-April. Yeah. Which will come out before March a little bit. Right. So that'll give us time to promote it. Even people like Jason Brochures who could do the training himself. It'd be nice if you could show up, Jason, there in Elm Springs. We would love to have you there. And at Beauvoir, we had a special speaker. We had we had Custer showed up, and General Custer did a presentation. Now that's an inside joke. Back when Donald and I was reenacting, I'm talking more years than I want to talk about. Past Commander in Chief Paul Graham, he looked like Custer in his uniform, and we used to tease him about being Custer. But past Commander-in-Chief Graham was a special speaker explaining the origins of and the reasons why we established the Confederate Legion. We're going to have we're trying to get a special speaker for the line him up. His schedule is pretty tight. But you'll get a book, the little booklet, Confederate Legion Handbook. And it goes into, first of all, the origins of the Confederate Legion, why it was organized and formed. And we recognize people from way back when. For instance, Carl Jones, back long before we had the Confederate Legion, back in 2016, 2018, he was hitting the ground, telling people to get involved with their local communities. So, it's not something that the Kennedys came up with. This is something that we're trying to put together. Let's see, past Commander-in-Chief Chuck McMichael, his Chief of Heritage Operations, I cannot, Jason, what was the gentleman's name? I cannot remember him from Virginia. Yeah.
Oh, was it Frank Ernest?
Yes, Frank Ernest. Yes. I don't know why I keep Frank Ernest was very active way back then, and he's also been very active in helping us look at getting some billboards up, which Donald, I have that down. We want to talk about that.
We will.
Quickly. All right, but anyway, put it on your calendar. Show up. We've got limited space. What can we seat? About 50 people in Elm Springs. So
yes, sir.
So and we'll get something out after Christmas. So but mark it on your calendar. That's March the what did I say? 29th. Yeah, I want to make sure I get the right date.
Well, not that you would put the wrong
Not
date
that
on
I would put the wrong date on.
That's another joke, folks. The Kennedy twins, we got everything right for the Beauvoir event, except for the first letter we sent out. We was wrong by one day. And we had to send another letter the next day. But of course, we caught it.
No, we got the day right. We just didn't get the date right.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, folks. Also, in coming up after that event, we've got April. Now, y'all remember, April is Confederate History Month, Confederate Heritage Month. That's when we're going to go full bore celebrating this. And I've got some really good news on that. First of all, we are in the process right now of starting to line up billboards to go across the South that will hopefully one of the billboards, and just visualize this, have a picture of Robert E. Lee on one side, and then Confederate History Month, then sons of www.scv.org. Something real simple, something that will catch everybody's attention. Robert E. Lee, anybody that knows anybody will know who Robert E. Lee is. If they don't know who Robert E. Lee is, we don't have any chance of recruiting them anyway. They're just a bunch of damn ignorant Yankees anyway. So, but with a picture of Robert E. Lee, it catches people's attention. Then the boldly proclaimed Confederate Heritage Month. Now, we're not going to put April on there because it may run a little after April, a little before it, but it will be done in April, and then we'll have our contact information. Now, a lot of people wanted the 1-800-MY-SOUTH or My Dixie, and as well as the URL. 90% of the folks nowadays, unless they're Ron's age and older, they don't go they won't use the 1-800 number. They're going to go with www.scv.org, and that's very simple. So, and I was talking to a good friend of mine, Mike Pullen, that I was telling y'all about, who lives here in Point. He owns a billboard company, and he keeps telling me, and of course, Ron and I figured this out years ago working political campaigns that we used to be pretty active in. A billboard is no more than about a 7 to 8 second shot. You're driving down the highway, especially if it's on the interstate doing 70, 80 miles an hour. You don't have a chance to pull over the side and read everything that's on there. It's got to grab your attention, give you some information, and you keep right on going. So we're going to try to keep it simple. Ron, do you remember back, in the 90s when the SCV tried to get some billboards out? My God, they tried to put everything on the billboards. They didn't get any kind of really decent response. Ron and I were just in the SCV. That was back when they was wanting to kick us out anyway. And we kept telling them, I said, it's too busy. You're putting too much on there. You got to make it simple. Well, they didn't do that. These will be simple, quick message, feel good, scv.org. Let me look that up and see what it is. And even if they don't look it up, folks, it makes them feel good to see Confederate History Month and Robert E. Lee's picture on there. That promotes a positive feeling about the South. And guess what? Politicians see that also riding up down the road. Right quick. Now, Ron, I want to ask you this question and I want to get back to something here in the Shreveport area. But Ron, in Louisiana, just for example, we only have one billboard up. How is that? And that's down in Zwolle, Louisiana. How is that going to help you over in Mandeville or me up here in Monroe, Louisiana?
Well, we're going to be real smart, like we talk about it as Confederate Legion training sessions. We're going to go up to Ruston, Louisiana, or wherever it is, off in some podunk area of Louisiana, not down in the civilized South Louisiana part, up in redneck Louisiana. We're going to take a picture of that billboard. We're going to scan that picture in, and we're going to send an email to every elected official and every agent of influence in St. Tammany Parish. And the people in Orleans Parish can do it in Orleans. The people in Jefferson Parish can do it. all across the state. And we'll simply say, we're not going to say this billboard's up in North Louisiana. We're going to say the Sons of Confederate Veterans, we're celebrating with billboards across the South. And Louisiana is participating, and we'll put our logo on there. We'll put our QR code on there, and let them think that that billboard's next door. We don't have to tell them it's way up in redneck Louisiana. But that, again, it is a way to influence politicians. Now, don't expect, put that billboard up one month, the next month you're going to have 20 or 30 new member applications. That will be wonderful if it happens, but this is not the reason. The reason is to make public exposure, to make the public see who we are, so that when you go knocking on the door and talking to that person who you know likes history, now he knows about the Sons of, he's seen the billboards, he's heard about it. So it helps it easier on recruitment. It also helps on retention, because your people who join the SCV primarily today because they want to preserve their history and their heritage. Well, they see that we're active and we're doing stuff, and they want to stay and be a part of that, right, as opposed to a camp that never does anything. So it's all works together. So this is going to be a great opportunity, and I trust that every division, and I think, talking to Lieutenant Commander in Chief, he's going to try to get some funds to help the division. But listen, the biggest burden is going to be on the divisions to come up with the money to put these billboards up.
And with that in mind, I'll just today I talked to Army of Trans-Mississippi Councilman Chuck McMichael, and it looks like right now the folks in Shreveport are working with a lady from Ron. What is the name of that well-known? What?
Lamar,
yeah, Lamar signage, and they've got right now the potential of having, and they've got the money. They've got getting everything lined up, and they believe that come April they're gonna have 2 lit signs on I-20, one on the going eastbound, one westbound. I-20 now, folks, I-20 is a major thoroughfare, east-west thoroughfare. Yes, sir.
Tell us who they are. Is that the division or is that the local camp?
The local camp is doing this. And now listen, they haven't signed the contract. They said they've got the money already appropriated. And they're dealing with the lady, and it's a lady that's very, very complimentary of what we're doing and is eager to work with us. And she can help us locate and get the same type of billboards up across the South. So what we need to do before the end of this month is start organizing, make sure every division has somebody working on looking at where we can put up at least 1, hopefully 2 or 3 billboards. And let's make sure, and we will have shortly a prototype of a billboard that we'd like to have out. We'd like to have all the billboards look essentially the same. So if somebody's driving 65 north or whatever, no matter where they go, which state they go in, they may run across the same billboard. Now, we're hoping that I've spoken at length when I was in South Carolina to both Lieutenant Commander Graham and as well as Commander Graham as well as Lieutenant Commander Griffin about this, and they are both excited about it in their area. And Tony, our Lieutenant Commander in Chief, said he is really eager to use some of his funds, discretionary funds that he has for promotion and retention in order to get this message out. Now, if we do this for a solid month, let's just say we get 1.5 we got 15 southern states will put this. You're talking about well over 20 to 22 billboards up. Some of them are going to be lit. Some of them are going to be 24/7, and the rest will just be in areas that they don't get as much sight, but they'll still be viewed. We could literally impress millions. I'm talking millions of people in 30 days with the name Sons of Confederate Veterans. They're going to see that URL. they're going to hear about. They're going to have that good, solid Confederate feeling. Robert E. Lee's on there. So we've got a lot going for us, folks, but we've got to get ready. And I'm real thrilled that Louisiana is stepping up and really working this. Thank Bobby Herron, our commander of the Louisiana Division. He has really jumped in there. But I can't express enough thanks to our Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief, Tony Griffin, for all his assistance and help there. So that's going there. Now, Jason, on May the 3rd, I believe we've got a little pilgrimage and a little fun going on at Elm Springs. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Yes, sir. I'd be happy to. Thank you, Commander. Saturday, May the 3rd, we'll have our 5th annual pilgrimage and homecoming. We're going to, when we started doing them in 2020, the first place we did it was the Jeff Davis statue. We've done Jeff Davis statue. We've done the Robert E. Lee statue. We did the Forest gravesite, and we did the equestrian statue. We're going to be back at the Jeff Davis statue. Our speaker is going to be none other than Ron Kennedy.
I'll try to give you a drum roll.
Yes.
Let me put that on my calendar this time.
Yes, sir. He has so graciously agreed to be the speaker, although we did have to twist his arm a little bit by asking him to do it. That's all we had to do. Asking him to be there. And I was, the Commander-in-Chief was kind enough, the local camp, San Watkins Camp number 29, we've been hosting different events. We've hosted, we've helped with the cruise in. We have hosted a car show there. And we decided that we needed to do something that was going to work with the organization better. And because we've noticed the people that are coming to these car shows and cruise ins, they're car people. Now, they are still going in and seeing the museum. They're still doing home tours. They're still learning about our history. And we said, okay, how can we coordinate events that will more likely try to link some of these events together and have events already going on, so when the car show people come, they will have something else that we can experience and they can share. And he agreed to allow us to host the car show on May the 3rd. So May the 3rd, 2025, we will have a car show and we will have the pilgrimage and homecoming. Now, I know that there's already some people talking about logistics. If you were at the forest reinterment, you know that we parked visitors all the way down in the front lot in front of the house. We'll be doing that again, and we'll be running golf carts. So don't feel like you've got to walk all the way back up the hill. We'll be running golf carts to allow people to come up. And there's people at the car show. We're not going to give out the trophies until after we do the memorial service at the Jeff Davis statue. Good. So people that are at the car show, they'll be able to come over and be part or see or witness the beauty of what we do there when we memorialize and have our pilgrimage and homecoming. And they'll get an exposure that they have not had before. And then SCV members will be able to walk around and look at cars. And I want to thank Commander Kennedy. Yes, sir. And I want to thank Commander Kennedy for allowing us to merge these two events. We saw the benefit of it, and I approached him. The camp did. The camp asked, can we do this? How can we better serve the organization? That was the question that the camp had. How can we better serve the organization? And then we thought, okay, what's the possibility of merging these? Because we see the people that are coming. We see the people, and they're not against us. They have absolutely no problem with the flag. The battle flag is still flying in the circle. You go inside the museum, you see everything we have in there. They know Nathan Bedford Forrest is buried there. They have no problems with any of this. So how can we merge and get some better exposure for the museum, our historic home, and our organization?
Good.
And that was, and I want to thank Commander Kennedy for allowing us to do that. Yes, we know we have some logistics that we're going to have to, that we're working on, but we'll be having golf carts running people around. Don't feel like you're going to have to walk from Morrisville Pike all the way up the hill to the house. We're going to have golf carts bringing you back and forth.
Yeah.
And the car show, we'll be doing it like we did this past year. We're going to have, of course, cars, motorcycles, so SCV members. You got your granddaddy's old car, fix it up and bring it to the car show.
There you go. I'm going to tell you something I enjoy. Of course, Ron and I grew up in that generation where every teenage boy, they would wrench a motor. We could pull motors, we could adjust time, and we could change plugs. We could put straights and gutted pipes on. We could do everything. Nowadays, not so much, but you'd see a lot of young people coming by these cars and look, and they're just amazed at the difference. For one thing, the motors turn different.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? So what's this thing? You call a drive shaft.
Hey, on a bunch of them, they stole half the motor.
You're right.
What happened to the other side of the V8?
So it will attract a lot of people that would not necessarily, be involved. And I think it goes a long way to get us in front of the general public, and it helps out in many ways. So I really appreciate that. Now, let me get, we're running out of time, folks. I think Ron's talked too much. But anyway, I need to, before we forget the last thing, folks, put it on your calendar if you hadn't already put it on there. July the 17th through the 20th, our 130th reunion will be held in beautiful downtown Houston, Texas. Well, I don't think it's downtown, but it's close to Houston, Texas. So by all means, you can go to scv.org and you can look at it. It's got right on the front page. It talks about the reunion. You can click on that reunion button. You can register for the event. You can get your hotel accommodation. You can get information about the events, what's going on, a scheduled event. Everything is there. Michael Hurley and the folks in Texas are so far have done an excellent job in making it easy for us. Y'all come on down and let's have some fun in Houston. So remember, put that on your calendar. That's July the 17th through the 20th in Houston, Texas, the 130th anniversary of this organization. Now, folks, we often brag about the Sons of Confederate Veterans is the oldest continuously operating veterans organization. And as far as I know, there is no one else older than that. So if we're not the oldest, we're certainly one of the oldest. And right now I'm claiming we are the oldest. So let's everybody get together. Let's have a good time in Houston this year. And we'll get things going there. Sean, if you don't mind, let's just take a quick Pop-Tart break. And when we come back, we got 15 minutes to run through everything else I got on this piece of paper. So let's just take a quick Pop-Tart break.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
I tell you what, Forrest Dawes, he is really the voice of the South. He does a great job. And Jason, God bless you. Thank you for your work there and putting that together. And especially when Jason was Lieutenant Commander in Chief a few moons ago, he used his funds that we've set aside, discretionary funds in your promotion and retention effort, to put together that professionally done video. That was not just somebody with a Walmart flyover drone that did that. It was professionally done and edited, etc. So thank you, Jason. Now, right quick, folks, I just want to quickly go over something, and then we're going to get into how we can solve some problems here. I was just absolutely appalled right after the election. I was listening to Fox News, and of course, they had their talking head on there, Victor David Hanson on there. And if y'all know anything about him, he's a Lincoln-loving, Confederate-hating, neoconservative. And he was complaining about some of the blue states trying to, quote, nullify, as he said, some of Trump's potential action. And he was condemning them as being evil like the Confederates. And he just went on and made one disparaging remark about the Confederacy and the South, and even trashed Calhoun for being nullifiers, people who believe in nullification, that, you know, the federal government, you know, the states can't do that. The federal government is more, he didn't say the federal government was supreme, but that's the message that he gave out. And then Newt Gingrich the next day said essentially the same thing, trashing the Confederacy. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I had to sit there and listen to that. And what really, really got me, here I am in my living room after the election, Commander-in-Chief of the Sons of Confederate Veterans, having to hear that person trash, condemn, repudiate our Confederate veterans, John C. Calhoun, and the South. And there's no way that you and I can answer him. The world is hearing his voice, but they're not hearing our voice. You know, we're being lulled into a false sense of security with this election, thinking, oh, all this wokeism is now gone. We don't have to worry about our monuments, and our heritage is going to be safe. No, those neo-conservatives, Newt Gingrich, Victor David Hanson, that whole cabal, they all are parroting the same thing that Karl Marx, Frederick Engels parroted in 1860 to 65, and the same thing that the neo-Marxists have been parroting. So, folks, we've got to be able to answer those people, and do it manfully and do it loudly. Now, listen, here's an interesting thing. Both Newt Gingrich and Hanson, David Victor Hanson, they just crazy about the president-elect. Do y'all realize, put your pen to it, the old Confederacy, the Confederate states, and I'm including Oklahoma in that because Oklahoma, that was part of it. Oklahoma was that, and West Virginia, which is Western Virginia, by God. Those states, all the Confederate states, with the exception of Virginia, they all were responsible for 58% of the electoral votes that the president-elect got. Did y'all hear what I said? Well over half of the electoral votes that the president-elect got came from those same so-called evil, wicked Confederate states that Newt Gingrich The Republican Party and Victor David Hanson loves to ridicule, slander, and just besmirch. Folks, I'm tired of it. It's time that we answer these people. We cannot answer these people right now because the money that we need to be spending to answer those folks is going to pay off a banknote. You know what I'm coming at you with. The 21st Century Confederate Heroes effort, that is what this is all about. We're going to liquidate that banknote, use our money to answer people like Victor David Hanson and that cabal of neo-conservative idiots. Give them the facts. We've got facts on our side. It drives me crazy. Victor David Hanson was complaining about nullification. Where did that concept of nullification and secession? What's the foundation? Ron, what's the foundation for that?
Yeah, well, the foundation is the Constitution, but the main primary source of the ideology comes from Thomas Jefferson and James Madison in 1798. But it even goes back before that when we nullified the Supreme Court's effort to sue Georgia, and we passed the 11th Amendment in response to it. It's absurd that we don't have the mechanism necessary to get our message out.
Oh, absolutely. It just goes crazy. It's interesting. I want to read y'all something right quick. One little thing. When the Supreme Court in 1775 or 76, whenever they made this, no, it wasn't 76, it was 1798. When they made their decision that Georgia nullified, it wasn't a representative from Mississippi or Maryland or from South Carolina that spoke out against it first. It was a representative, Cedric, from Massachusetts. He was appalled that the Supreme Court would invade the sovereignty of a state. Now, Georgia has just nullified this egregious federal Supreme Court action, and they told the federal court, if you send an agent into Georgia to enforce this illegal act, they shall be, quote, hung by the neck until dead without benefit of clergy, end quote. Georgia was
nullification, by God.
They were serious. And then this representative from Massachusetts got up and he was appalled that the Supreme Court would attack the sovereignty of the state. And he said the action of the Supreme Court, quote, it reduces free and independent sovereignties to the rank of mere provinces. It contradicts the Declaration of Independence. Folks, we have facts on our side. What we need, what we must have is the ability to answer these people. And it takes money to do that, but we can do that once we pay this indebtedness off, and we can do that. Now, Jason, you and I were talking earlier this morning, and every time we start talking about this, people think, oh my God, are we going defunct? Are we going to go bankrupt? Jason, you've been looking at the books today. Tell me just real quickly, are we in arrears to the point that we're going to be sunk any time now in indebtedness?
Oh, we're completely far from that. We're making the payments on everything. In fact, concerning the banknote, we're making an extra payment a month. Our total debt is less than a quarter of what we are worth. Good. Overall. And we're making all the payments on everything. We're just fine on all of it. The hitch in the giddy up is this one simple thing. The money that we're paying each month, as you know, when we have a great interest rate. I'll go ahead and tell you, our interest rate right now is 3.85%. We have a great interest rate. If we have to go back and get this, if you were at the national reunion, you know that we went under $1 million on that debt. Okay. That happened during the national reunion. We were even a lot farther than that now. We keep knocking it in the head and we're still getting it knocked down now. Well, we don't want to go back and have to refinance any note. We are far from, that. We have until June, July of next year to get it all paid for. But the hitch and the giddy up is that monthly payment that we have to make.
Yep.
It's like your house payment. Let's say that you get your house paid for. How much more extra money do you have each month? Now get your house paid for, get your car paid for. How are you if you are able to run for years without any debt? Mm-hmm. That's where we need to be with this, because that gives us the running capital to be able to address these things that we have been needing to address for the last handful of years.
We need to be able to have a better system of putting out videos, having platforms that our essential podcasts will be out there where people can see it. We need to be able to run ads in major periodicals and podcasts and radio programs and TV programs. One day, that video that y'all just saw a few minutes ago, it needs to be on Newsmax and needs to be on Fox. People need to see. Once we get to that level, we can do it. Now, by using the money correctly, by having a vigorous public relation campaign, we can double our membership. I don't want to ever have to go to our memberships and say, we need to increase dues. No, we do not need to increase dues. We need to increase membership. And how do you get membership? Well, same way you sell Coca-Cola, BC, or any Chevrolet cars, you advertise. We have not been able to advertise, folks, because we're spending that money on a banknote. And that is why this 21st Century Confederate Heroes effort is so very important. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to put Forest Plaza back together. I have appointed Jason Brochere as chairman of the committee that is going to do the restoration of the Forest Plaza. Right now, I just checked with Adam Southern today. We have right at $141,000 set aside for that effort. The GEC has already approved spending money to do some repair work on that equestrian statue. So we'll be doing that. But we're also going to be getting with engineer company and people, and we're going to see what it's going to entail to get this Forest Plaza put back together. Once we get that plaza put back, Sean, put the photo of the Forest Plaza. There you go. That's what it looked like back in the 50s and 60s in Memphis. They took them down. We're going to put them back. Just think, that's going to be at our museum. General Forrest will be high on his pedestal. Everybody will be able to see him. And we're going to have a national event celebrating not only the restoration of the Forest Plaza, but much more important than that, we're going to use that as an excuse to tell the world about all the monuments that the SCV and the UDC have erected across the South. I know in Florida, y'all have some nice parks. You got some nice big flags. All right, same thing in Louisiana. We've got in Louisiana at least 3 Confederate parks in Louisiana. Well, listen, every state, we need to be able to tell the world how many monuments we put up, how many monuments we've saved, how many monuments we've relocated, how many flags that we put up, how many flag parks have we established. We've done several of it. I would say, I know in Tennessee, there's at least 1 or 2 in Tennessee that I've been to. So they are out there, folks. We need to tell the world, look what we are doing, because the world right now, I hate to tell you this, but I've had people in my community, they say, oh, it's horrible. We're losing all our monuments. Oh, hell no, we're not losing our monuments. We've lost some, yes, but we put up 3, 4, 5 times more than they've taken down. And plus we've established parks and we've established big flags. We are on the move. We are winning this fight. The problem is our people don't know that. They won't know that until we get this note paid for. And that's one of the things Ron will be sending out. He's been working diligently the last 2 weeks. We're sending letters out to every camp commander, challenging every SCV camp to become a member of the 21st Century Confederate Legion. If all our accounts would join, do you realize by 3 months from now, we'd be breaking ground, putting everything back together. But we can't do it without your assistance. I know $1,000 is a lot of money. I grew up on a dirt farm in Mississippi, folks. I know that's a lot of money. But you know what? My heritage is worth that. And if you as an individual can't do it, your camp can. And you can raise the money and you can do that. And you're not doing it for Donnie Kennedy. You're not doing it for the headquarters. You're doing it for our Confederate veterans, their heritage, our grandchildren's heritage. This is an effort that we need to get done, and tell the world that the SCV is alive and well, and Dixie, the South shall rise again, and we're going to prove it to them. Now, gentlemen, I've just about wasted my time. Jason, do you have anything to add to that, please?
Let me unmute myself here. I've been some writing, and I didn't want the scribbling to pop up. I want to talk to people about this is going to be a multi-phase deal. The first thing we're going to have to do is repair the equestrian statue. Now, everything's going to be bid out. I just want everybody to be aware of that. Don't feel like that we're just going to all of a sudden do anything. I'm just going to pick somebody. No. Everything, there's going to be a minimum of 3 bids done on everything. The first thing is getting the 3 bids for the repair of the equestrian statue. And I've already contacted 2 people. I'm going to have them come and do an evaluation to see what all needs to be done. Those 3, at least 3, if I can, I will get more. Those will be taken to the General Executive Council, and the General Executive Council will decide who they want to get to do that. And it's going to be, that's phase 1. Phase 2 is all the dirt we're going to have to move to put this back, because you're looking at something that's 50 feet deep and 75 feet wide. It's a very large structure. We've already had some preliminary estimates when we brought it onto the property of what it would cost to put it back. And at that time, you were looking in the 175 to 200,000 range. Right now, you're looking at 200 to 250. So we're going to be, and I've had several people that have volunteered. Now, what I mean by several people, I'm talking about men that have construction companies, men that have the equipment and the experience to be able to do this, that are SCV members. And those are the ones that I will be reaching out to first, because these are men that are contractors. They have the cranes. They have the men. They have the technology. They have the capability of doing it. Over the years, several have approached me about the possibility of doing this. And I have always said in due time, because this is something that we will have to have the money for before we ever do it.
Yeah.
No work is going to be done until we have all of the funds to see it through before the first shovel hits the ground or the first person works on repairing forest. That way we can get started and work all the way through. We don't need to get this, well, we'll do this, and then when we raise the money, do that. When we start moving this dirt, we're going to have to just run all the way through till we get it done. So there's going to be bids on this. There are some people who've contacted me that I have reached out to, and some more that I will be reaching out to. I kept all of your names and numbers. So I will be reaching out to you and seeing if this is a project that you can help us with. And I just want our membership to know that when this gets approved by the GEC and we go to proceed forward, you will be kept in the loop the entire way. You'll get weekly updates on everything as it is moving. And then we all know what's going to happen in the end when we do get it completed. And that is number 3. But the first thing we're going to have to do is repair the statue and put the plaza back. Good. So I want everybody to know the procedure. If I reach out to you, please call back. Even if you don't want to do it, just call me and tell me you don't want to do it. I can take bad news. It's no news, because if I ask you and And there have been several. I've had several approach me. Hey, I've got a construction company. I said, well, the gentleman looked at it. He said he's not going to be able to do this with his front end loader. He's going to have cranes. We're going to have cranes there to move these pieces. And he goes, I've got those. So that's the people that I'm going to be reaching out to. Yeah. And if you have a construction company, you're licensed, you're bonded, you're insured, and you've got all of the equipment necessary, contact me. I'm pretty easy to find. So just reach out and find me.
Good. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. Ron, do you have anything to add? We're just about running out of time here.
No, but I do want to make one quick statement about the monuments that we're putting up. We need to get that inventory going. I hope the commander-in-chief will appoint someone, not me, to be on the committee to get that census done so we can get the number of flags and the number. And they probably will be contacting the division commanders, et cetera, et cetera. But that needs to be done as soon as possible. But listen, folks, we're in an excellent time. And quickly, while I was listening to the news feed of Trump over at the reopening of the Cathedral of Notre Dame, and he said something that perked my ears real quickly, because he said that the time when these wonderful monuments are being destroyed is over. And he said, we want to restore these monuments. Well, when he said that, I thought about Arlington.
Yes.
We want to put up new monuments. So look, we've got the potential, folks. It's a perfect storm for us if we will use it. But when we send out stuff and ask you to get a hold of your camp members and get on the one-click and do the one-click thing to get information to politicians, please respond, because we have a golden opportunity, but we got to push it, folks. We got to keep the heat on.
Yep. Put the scare on and keep it on. Yes, sir, Commander.
I was asked to write for the timeline that's inside the museum going around. I was asked to write something about the monuments and memorials. I was going to talk about the ones that have been taken down, and of course we know those. And I've already started compiling a list of those that have gone up since 2017.
Good.
Would you want me to continue? I was going to make it as part of my article that was going to be on the timeline. Yes. So everybody could say, as of this date, as of from January 1st, 2014 until December 31st, 2024, we have put up this many.
That would be great.
Okay, because I was just going to make that a part of it, and then we could do a list if you wanted me to do that as well.
Yeah, we could do a QR code there and put a list up. Yes, we'll talk about it. That's a wonderful idea. Right quick, I want to remind folks that we have started the process. Everybody that joins the 21st Century Confederate Heroes, a certain small portion of that is being funded into the forest restoration. But you can also go online and donate yourself. I think if I haven't done it, I'll do it this week, but I think I've already done it. I do a simple reoccurring $10 a month thing to the forest restoration project. So, and I do that to several different ones. It's not very much money, but if 1,000 people would do that in a month's time, that's $10,000. Well, in a year's time, that's $120,000. So you don't have to give a lot. If you can't give a lot, give a little. And so let's do it. Sean, we didn't give you an opportunity to say much. Do you have anything going on in Florida right now that you would like to bring up?
Yeah, gentlemen, if you have nothing to do on the 21st of this month, we're going to be meeting up at the Tampa flag site to do some cleanup that it was affected by the past two hurricanes that we had. Okay. So the 21st of this month at 8 a.m. at the Tampa flag site. Bring shovels, rakes, and get ready to get dirty.
Thank you. And Shane, I really, Sean, I really appreciate you filling in for Harrison. And I appreciate everything that Harrison does. And look, Commander Brochures, thank you for taking on everything. I feel like sometimes I've loaded you down with more stuff than you can handle, but you always handle it so well. So they tell me that, if the wagon hadn't broken, just keep loading it,
Never mind the mule, load the wagon.
You heard that, huh?
Yes. And I will go ahead and say this, as far as the Confederate Legion goes, you had a brand new member. I just mailed his. He came in today.
Good.
I've already mailed his certificate to him.
Right.
It's a gentleman out of Texas.
Great.
So the Confederate Legion is still moving along.
Good.
And don't forget the 21st Century Confederate Heroes. There's
Absolutely.
plenty of ways for everybody to contribute to this.
Yeah, and I really want to thank Ron Kennedy for all that he's done. He's been my right go-to man to get things done and to help keep me in line. And he doesn't get to wear the neck ribbon, but he sure gets. I sure get a lot more work out of him now that he don't have that neck ribbon to carry around. So I appreciate it.
Hey, I do want to mention the fact that we're putting together between Jason and myself a threefold pamphlet. And this is sort of a mock-up of it. Let's see if you can see it.
Yes.
I need you to join the 21st Century Confederate Heroes. I did it in Publisher and sent it to Jason and asked him to add some. See, he's got to add some photographs to the inside and to massage it as he sees fit. Yay! Yeah. There you go. It looks great. And I believe they're going to get them published or printed there in Columbia. And the idea is this is not for the general public. This is for Donald, myself, Jason, Sean, whoever's going to a meeting to talk to, like the Lee Jackson meeting. I want a stack of these. And before the meeting starts, everybody there is going to get one of these because it's going to help promote and get individuals involved in joining the 21st Century Confederate Heroes. So it's not something, and that's Jason pointed that out to me. He said, "Look, we got to either have it for the public or the membership." I said, "Well, we want it for." I said, "We want it." The Commander in Chief wants it for our members and the members' wives and people who are well familiar with the Sons of Confederate Veterans. You can go to a meeting and my job is to go there and speak on a Lee Jackson topic, and I can mention the 21st century, but I want something in their hands that they take home with them. And that's what, and again, that's just one of the many projects that the Commander-in-Chief has loaded on me, and then I turned around as if I had some kind of authority and asked the past Commander-in-Chief to pretty it up and work on it. So it's a team effort, and I appreciate it, Jason.
Well, listen, I appreciate all three of you fellas. And listen, when I was in South Carolina, there's some very hardworking people I met there, and I'm just so proud to get to know a lot of these people better than I have in the past. The folks in Florida are great. Y'all are doing a great job, and Sean, I really appreciate everything that you're doing. So with that said, we're about 15 minutes over what we should have been. As I said, probably my brother was just too wordy. It couldn't have been me. I don't see that. But anyway, listen, folks, stay Southern. God bless you. Have a happy, Merry Christmas. This is a beautiful Advent season. Remember what the season is really about. God bless you all. God save the South. Thank you, Shane.
May God save Dixie.
Amen.
Ready, and we're